Today we're going to talk about ropes and some terminology and help define some terminology around a rope. So the first part of the rope is the Hondu, and then the rubber rawhide part is called the burner on your rope. So the part of your rope between the Hondu and your hand is called the spoke, and here I'm holding that. So if you're a beginner, you're going to have less spoke. As you get better feel, you're going to increase your spoke length. The tip, T-I-P, dip, D-I-P, of your rope is where, so the front part of my rope, you can see it, it's literally passing right over there. That's my tip. Depending on the angles, I can change my tip over there. So that's your tip, because everybody talks about the tip. And then whether you have an open or closed loop. You want your loop to be open when it goes around, because if you push your loop as you're delivering, it'll close up. Then the other thing is, when you're swinging, these three fingers are in charge of the top strand, and the ulnar side of your hand, so the ring finger and the pinky, and this ulnar femoris, this part of your hand, is in charge of the bottom strand of your loop. So this is considered the bottom strand, this is considered the top strand. So when they catch, what that looks like, so this is considered the top strand, this is considered the bottom strand. And then you come over on this side. This part, see how it makes an 8? This is your figure 8. Considered? You want your figure 8 in an ideal world to be very tight across here and the 8 to be back here. Yes. And then your target where you throw is, depending on where you're at or where you do, is it at the point of the shoulders, you know, the top of the shoulder blade of the calf, in somewhere in this area, depending on your style. So the other pieces about a rope is each rope will come in different lays, which I would consider stiffness of your ropes now. They used to not be breakaway ropes that way, but they will be soft, extra soft, and that's the lay. They will either be a 3, 4, well now there's 5 strands, the new Rattler ropes. So a strand is how many strands are in the rope. So this one's pretty frayed, but you can see, so when they talk about a 3-strand rope versus a 4-strand rope, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 strands. Is that better?
Yeah.
They're pretty frayed, but so it has 4 strands. This is a striker, and it doesn't have a core. The other thing you need to look for in breakaway ropes, lots of times in the middle of the breakaway ropes there's a core, which makes them more stiff. So you get to all things to look at, and then there's different types of ropes. This, what I would kind of be considered a synthetic rope, because it's kind of like a poly, but it's not really a poly. It fuzzes super easy. So there's polys, which is like your old school king ropes, Willard ropes. Who did I talk to yesterday? I think Cactus is making one now that they haven't released. Then there's these synthetic ropes, so like this is a striker, your Vipers, those are the Rattler brands. I'm not good with the other names of the other ropes, but so that they're kind of a synthetic poly. They call them a real poly, but they're not, because they're not true polys. Then now, so the green ropes of Willards and the red ropes of Rattler, the Spitfire, those are a nylon poly blend. So there's more nylon in those ropes. Okay, this rope is not, I mean it's old, but you have to be careful when you add more nylon into your rope. The heat impacts them more so than a true poly. So these ones are impacted. They feel like crap if it's cold, like if it's 20, 30 degrees, but they still work. The strikers. But the other ones get hard. So you just have to know your ropes and talk to your local rope dealer or whoever, whatever brand you're going with, and visit with them about how that works. So I think I covered all of the rope terminology. Let me check. Spoke, tip, length. Most ropes are 28 feet in length, and then you need to cut them off to whatever feels more comfortable with you. So here's my rope, and the length of your rope probably is directly related to if you feed or not. So if you feed, so most people start with somewhat of a smaller loop, and I can't do this, so I don't feed. But most people in their first swing will make their loop bigger, so that's feeding. So the length of your rope should be directly related to how much, if you don't feed, which I don't, I have my rope, or my loop, it's set. So I got my loop. It just depends how many, do you want one full coil in your hand or half a coil in your hand? Or do you want, okay, this one's not gonna do it, do you want 2 coils in your hand? So how many coils in your hand, and then still think you need enough length to get tied onto your saddle horn, it to comfortably go down in this little half loop, come up to your hand. And then do you want half a coil or do you want a full coil in your hand? So that should be the length of your loop. I cut like 10, 12 feet off my rope. So anyway, but that's directly related to whether or not you feed and what kind of shot your horse consistently gives you. So that's something to work on in the practice pen, is in the practice pen figure out what length of rope you use, and you can change the length of your rope in the practice pen to be able to find out if that works for you. So those are some rope terminologies. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.